Hey guys, it's Mark from the Sports Corner, and it is week 4 in the NFL, and I'm here to break down all the games and give you my predictions and see if they're going to cover the number, and if the over/under is going to hit, or if there are some player props I like. And this NFL season has been just chaos, but it's been fun to watch. I mean, if anybody tells you that they've done well so far in this year of the NFL, I mean, they're probably lying to you. So many favorites have just went down in flames. So, but it's been a blast. So let's get to it. My predictions for Week 4 in the NFL. Battle in the NFC South, we have the Saints versus the Falcons, and this is a tough one, with Atlanta being the favorite by 2.5 points with the over and under of 42 points. You know, the Falcons, their back is just against the wall. They lose to KC. You know, they barely beat the Eagles, and so they're 1-2. And if they lose to the Saints starting 1-3, not looking good whatsoever. Saints would go up 3-1. So with that, you know, I think this is a must-win for the Falcons. You know, the Saints, they beat the Panthers and they beat the Cowboys, but if you really look at it, now that we're in week 4, the Panthers and Cowboys are nothing to brag about. Yeah, the Panthers had a good win against the Raiders, but the Raiders are terrible. So the Saints beat them when they had Young at quarterback, so that even says even more that it was a terrible opponent. And they beat the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are definitely showing that they're not the Cowboys of the past. They have one of the worst rush defenses in the league. So, and no wonder, and Alvin Kamara ran over them. So, not really impressed who they beat. They lost to the Eagles, only put up 12 points. Pitiful. You know, it's been shown that if you stop Alvin, you can win. You know, and David Carr also, let's don't forget, he's a little banged up from the Eagles game. And if Atlanta could get their pass rush going, they need to rattle David Carr's cage. So they need to get this pass rush going. They're one of the worst teams in pass rush. They only sacked the Eagles one time. So, and this is the perfect time. The Saints O-line is banged up. Alvin Kamara is banged up. Both teams don't have their starting centers. That bodes well for the Saints. They have a better defense. They have a better chance getting out the quarterback, that is. So the Atlanta just need to rush this and get to David Carr. And if you get to David Carr, the whole team is rattled. So, you know, if we get the numbers here, the betting numbers, the Saints are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games as underdogs. I mean, that's pretty impressive. You know, and David Carr has 6 touchdowns and 2 interceptions with 585 yards passing, compared to Kirk Cousins, 626 yards with 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. The Saints are 6th in rushing and offense at 153 yards a game. Their defense is allowing 4.7 points a game, which is 5th, but they're 21st in passing yards allowed. Which, you know, that's not the Atlanta Falcons' forte. They have 2 good running backs, and I think that's how they would win this, is keeping the running game pounding away, keep on grinding it, and then use David Carr in the play action. And the Falcons are only putting up 16.3 points a game and allowing 20.3 points a game, so that's not good. And you know, they're averaging 107 yards running, so that's not bad. You know, this is gonna be a tough battle. The over/under 42. You know, and Atlanta only being favored 2.5. They almost beat Kansas City. The Saints got a little exposed. The Eagles taking their big playability away and shutting down Alvin Kamara, which eventually just hurt David Carr. But all this is said, Kirk Cousins coming off a loss is 35-19, and I think that says a lot, and that's since 2015. Because Atlanta is at home, and because they're back against the wall, they have to win this game. And their defense is not too shabby. I like them to win and cover. I think maybe it's gonna be maybe a couple field goals, they win the game. They got the better kicker, and maybe they win by 6 points, or give or take. But I think it's gonna be a tough game. But I think because Atlanta needs this is a must win. Everybody had them as the favorites in the NFC South, so they have something to prove. So because the Saints only putting up 12 points, getting a little exposed by the Eagles, especially in the running game with Barkley's big run, I think if the Falcons just keep on pounding away with Robinson and Algier, I think that'll set up just nicely for Kirk. And like I said, he's 35-17 when coming off a loss. So give me Atlanta minus the 2.5. In this matchup, we got the battle of the Midwest, the battle of the NFC North. We got Green Bay, the Vikings going to Green Bay, with Green Bay being the favorites at 3.5 and the over-under at 44. This matchup is going to be awesome. You got Sam Darnold playing out of his mind with 657 yards with 8 touchdowns and 2 picks. You have Malik Willis if he plays. LaFleur has him playing out of his mind, the best football he's been playing so far. He's rushing the ball, using his legs, smart to do that. And then if you use Packers rushing with Josh Jacobs and him, that's a great 1-2 punch. And they also got that backup rookie, I believe his name is. He's not looking too bad. But then you got Aaron Jones, who was on the Packers. It's going to be a big revenge game for him. He has 228 yards rushing with 1 TD. And the monster that Justin Jefferson is, he has 14 receptions for 273 yards and 3 touchdowns. And him and Alexander are probably going to go at it. Addison is still questionable, so pay attention to that. Addison will be a good addition for them. And, this is the battle of the coaches. The defensive coordinator for the Vikings, Flores, is a great defensive coordinator. He smashes the Shanahan style offenses. LaFleur, he has some kind of version of the Shanahan offense, but it's not 100% like Shanahan's. So that's gonna be a good coach. LaFleur calling the offensive plays and Flores calling the defensive plays. So it's gonna be a battle of the coaches. The Vikings are 3-0 against the spread. Packers are 2-1 against the spread, so that makes this game even harder to call. I don't like the Packers. I don't like them. So my heart wants to take the Vikings plus the points, 3.5, 4.5. I mean, I even like the money line. Money line would actually make good money in this game if the Vikings came out ahead. And the Vikings have played better opponents. The Packers, they barely beat the Colts, and they blew out Tennessee, but Tennessee's garbage. The Vikings they beat the 49ers and the Texans. So, they shown they can hold their own with the best. The Vikings have to get to Malik Willis, or Jordan Love, and they can. And, if you just look at some of the betting trends, Packers are 6-1 against the spread in the last 7 games, and Packers are 5-1 against the spread at home in their last 6. So my heart wants to take the Vikings. But I think Green Bay does enough to grind out the game with the rushing attack, and they just wear out the Vikings. And they do just enough to cover, and I say the Packers would win by like a field goal, maybe 4 points. I can't see this game getting too far away from each other. So, unfortunately, give me the Packers minus 2.5. And in this matchup, we have one desperate team looking for a W, and we have one rejuvenated team that has a new quarterback implemented. That being the Bengals versus the Panthers, with the Bengals being favored by 4.5. I'm going to make this one short and simple. The over-under is 47. The Bengals they're beyond having their backs to the wall. I mean, they need a win so bad, or they could just forget it. 0-3 teams almost never make the playoffs. So this is a bad look for the Bengals that have a really good offense with good surrounding players around Burrow, but it's their defense who cannot get after the quarterback. They're ranked like 27th in total defense, they're ranked 27th in points allowed, so that's not good. Burrow, he's looking good. 5 touchdowns, no picks. He's almost, I think he's just 200 yards away from 1,000 yards already. But I know the Bengals are 1-3 against the spread. They haven't covered a big spread at all. Trent Brown is out for the year. Trey Hendrickson is questionable, one of their best defenders who can actually maybe possibly get to the quarterback. And the Red Rifle, he has rejuvenated the Panthers. To talk about the Panthers just a tiny bit, the Red Rifle, 319 yards and 3 touchdowns in that game. Chuba Hubbard had a great game. Deontay Johnson had a great game. They just put the juice back in that offense, and they it was the Raiders, but they needed that win. It was a great win for them. And so with the Red Rifle, they do lose Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen is out for this game, so that's a little blow to their offense. Mango would have to step up, or their rookie Leggett. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But the defense is not really great for the Panthers either. They're letting 31 points a game put on them, and they only have a total of 5 or 6 sacks a game. So it's not great whatsoever. So I'll keep this simple. I think Joe Burrow and the Bengals, they need a win so desperately bad. And this game, and after a couple games after this, they got an easy schedule coming up. So I am going to swallow the points of the Bengals, that they cover the 4.5. And I also like the over in this game. It's 47. If you get it at 46, that's great. But I think that the Panthers will put up some points as well. So I think this will be a high-scoring game, but the Bengals cover. And also, give me Joe Burrow over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I think Joe Burrow gets 2 or 3 passing touchdowns in this game. So, yeah, give me the Bengals. They need this win. And here we go. A battle of the bums, the battle of the juggernauts. We got the Bears versus the Rams, with the Bears being a favorite of 3 points and the over-under of 40.5. Rams surprised everybody. I mean, I don't know anybody who had the Rams straight up beating the 49ers. I think 99% of the public had the 49ers winning, and probably the majority had them to cover the points too, but they didn't, the 49ers. But so that was a good win for the Rams. Good job by them. Bears lose to the Colts. What the hell are they doing in that fourth when they were by the red zone and they couldn't rush the ball in? Those terrible play calling. Caleb Williams throws over 52 times or 51 times. A rookie quarterback should never be throwing that much. Their offensive line is the worst offensive line I've seen in years. There's just all around, both these teams are just crapping it up. You could give the Rams some little grace here because they're so injured. Their wide receivers are gone. A bunch of the offensive line was all beat up. I do believe the Rams are getting some offensive linemen back for this game, so that's good. But, what can you say? All the other than Kyrie Williams, the Rams, they really don't have nobody. Tutu Atwell, is anybody really scared for him? Really shifty, but is he going to push the number for them to win? I don't think so. It's going to be Kyrie Williams, the rushing attack from the Rams, if they want any part of this game. They're missing Aaron Donald, the Rams. They're 30 in rush defense, 29th in passing defense, and 31 in scoring allowed. So 31st in scoring allowed, so not so good. They're 1-2 against the spread. They're missing their weapons and the Bears, they have a good defense. If you look at it, the Bears are 17th in rushing allowed and 7th in passing yards allowed. So that's not too shabby. If I'm the Rams, I'm leaning into the rushing attack. But how did the Bears lose to the Colts? It's beyond me with Anthony Richardson at the quarterback. But Williams did have his best game, so that's something to hang your hat on for a Chicago Bears fan. But they have the second worst rush offense in the whole league. I think they're just one ahead of the Las Vegas Raiders. So they need to change that up, do something. Swift, I know the line can't protect worth a crap, But, get some. I think they said they're going to use Johnson more. But, is that a step up? Does that move the needle? No, I don't think so. And they're 25th in passing yards as the offense, and they're 22nd in scoring. Whoopity doo. So with this game, Matthew Stafford is 12-9 against the Bears lifetime as well. So there's that. It's difficult. It's really difficult. On paper, I like the Bears to win. Because how injured the Rams are. They get Allen back. They might get Allen back at wide receiver. Johnson will get more rushing attempts. The Rams are beat up, but the Rams beat the 49ers. And how the hell did they do that? I have no clue. And they have the superior head coach, McVay. McVay is leagues ahead over Eberflus from the Chicago Bears head coach, who's god-awful, just god-awful. Rams were before they won that game, the 49ers, they were 0-28 when, facing a 14-point deficit. That was his first win for that McVay in that category. And the home team is 7-1 in the last 8 games in these matchups. And like I said, Stafford is 12-9 against the Bears. So with that, I really like the under in this game. I think I'd play the under at the over-unders at 4.5. So that's my strong play over there. So I would take the under. And if I had to choose one of the teams, I would take the Rams plus 2.5. Or if I get it at 3, I'd definitely take it at 3. Did the Bears win? Maybe the Bears win outright. Maybe they do. But for this purposes, I'll take the under for my biggest play, and I will take the Rams plus the points. In this matchup, I'm going to keep it short and simple. Chiefs versus Chargers, with the Chiefs being a favorite by 7.5 points. The over-under at 40 points, I believe. Yeah, 40 points. The Chargers are just beat up. They are just so beat up. Both their tackles are out for the game. Herbert is playing hurt. Bosa is playing hurt. They're both going to play Herbert and Bosa. And Derwin James is suspended. So that's another great weapon for them on the defensive side that is going to be out. Because of that, Herbert not being 100% and the offensive tackles, that puts the running game in, it's going to not in a good position. They're built around the run, Gus Edwards and Dobbins, but this hurts both of them. So, with that, Herbert hasn't thrown over 150 yards in a game yet. Is that because of Harbaugh's play or the lack of receivers? I don't know. But he has four touchdowns and 1 interception. That's a good ratio. But like I said, he's playing hurt. They have a good defense on paper, which looks great, but they played against the Raiders and the Panthers, so that's not so great when Young was still the quarterback. And they're allowing 11 points a game. That being the biggest one to the Steelers. Herbert is 2-5 against Kansas City, not good. And their offense is putting up 19 points a game, which is, not too great, not too good. The Chiefs, they've covered 2 out of the 3 games against the spread. But, surprisingly, Mahomes is not looking like Mahomes. 5 touchdowns and 4 interceptions with 859 yards passing. Rice looks really awesome. I don't know if that guy's going to get in trouble or not, but he looks really great. He has 2 100 yards games out of the 3 games they've played. And Kansas City's averaging 25 points a game, and their defense is allowing almost 21 points a game. The Chiefs defense, it's pretty good. It's pretty good against the run, not so much the pass, but the run they're pretty decent at. And simply, the Chiefs have 10 straight victories against the Chargers as a road team. So with that, and the massive amount of injuries the Chargers have, they're just so banged up, I will swallow 7.5 points. And I know a lot of 7.5 points haven't covered, but I just can't get behind this injured plague Chargers team. Unless Dobbins goes off, I don't know how they score any points. I even like the under this game. I could see this being a 21-10, game, or 21-13 game, Chiefs. So give me the Chiefs rolling the Chargers, because the Chargers, they're just too beat up and they need to get healthy, and they need to get healthy soon. In this game here, we got the Hackett game, the Denver Broncos versus the Jets, with Jets being an 8-point favorite and the over-under being 39.5. The Broncos, they get lucky. They beat Tampa Bay, and it is luck. Tampa Bay, they were hurt. I know a lot of teams are hurt, but they were hurt, and their defensive line big time, especially Vita Vea being gone. And they live and die by the big plays, and people forget Denver's defense is bad. As bad as their offense is, their defense is really great. So, but their offense is just terrible, the Broncos. That's why I said they got lucky. Bo Nix, 0 touchdowns, 4 picks, and he's the leading rusher for his team, which is not good. It's not good if you're the Denver Broncos. You don't want your quarterback being the leading rusher. He's not Lamar Jackson. So, coupled with that, I believe they found, a 4-leaf clover to beat the Buccaneers. They're now going to face a harder team than the Jets. The Jets are putting it together. Jets have had a longer time to prepare for this game. They get the extra rest, and they've had 11 sacks in the last 2 games. 7 sacks. They sacked the Patriots 7 times. So they're getting after the quarterback. And Rodgers looks good. Rodgers in the last 2 games is 5 touchdowns and 1 interception. So really good, great Aaron Rodgers. He's looking like he's putting it back together. Maybe not fully vintage Aaron Rodgers, but the Aaron Rodgers that's accurate and efficient. And they also have a 2-headed running back now, in Allen and Hall. If the Jets could get those 2 guys going, Allen and Hall, watch out. That's a good combo there. Allen being the rookie from Wisconsin. And they only allowed 120 passing yards to the Patriots. So the Patriots, I know it's the Patriots, but only allowing 120 yards, that's just, it's pretty amazing, but also pretty terrible on the Patriots. And they're third in the league with red zone TDs, the Jets. So they're scoring points, and they're fourth in allowing teams to convert red zone opportunities into TDs. So they're holding a lot of teams back to not scoring in the red zone. The right tackle is out for the game for the Jets, so pay attention to that. Don't forget I said Denver has a good defense. They sacked Mayfield 7 times, so Mayfield likes to hang on to the ball to look for that deep pass, but they got to him 7 times. They're 24th in passing yards, not great. They can't convert red zone TDs. They're 30th ranked in the red zone. But like I said, they're 3rd ranked in the defense. And they're 5th in sacks. So they're getting out the quarterback, and their secondary is pretty decent. And so all that being said, over under 39.5. It's hard to, 8's a big number because they covered it against the Buccaneers. They won straight up. But I'm not a believer in this Bo Nix just yet. I don't think he keeps it close here. So I don't like the number at 8, but if you get it at 7.5, take the Jets at 7 and 7.5. But if I have to pick this game, the Jets are also 2-3 against the spread, and they hold a 3-2 record the last 5 games between these 2 teams. So the Jets, that is, and the Denver. So with that, give me the Jets, and I'll swallow the 8 points. But I would definitely, if you could get it at 7.5 or 7, take that. All right, now we have a matchup with one team just a burning house, and then we have another team that's looking for a good bounce back win, and that is the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Houston Texans, with the Texans being the favorite at 6.5, and the over and under being at 45.5. Jacksonville's 1-2 against the spread. Texans are 0-2-1 against the spread. They split each other last year. The Jags being the Houston being the Jags last year. In the last 9 games, the Jaguars are 1-8. 1-8 in the last 9 games. Not looking good for Peterson there. Definitely on the hot seat. Kirk and Atini, the running back, are the only weapons on this team. Ingram is out at tight end. He's not going to play this game. So all they have is Kirk and Atini. Forgive me if I'm saying his name wrong, the running back. They average 13.3 points a game. They basically average 13 points a game. That's nothing. It's a sneeze, if you will. They're 160.7 passing yards, which is 27th, and they are allowed 5 sacks to the Bills. So not good. The Houston Texans can't get to the quarterback. They sacked Sam Arnold a few times. Jags are allowing 28.3 points a game. That's ranked 29, so people are just scoring all over them. They're also allowing 253.3 passing yards allowed against them, and they have no turnovers as far. They haven't created one turnover, so that's terrible for the defense. And Houston, they're actually, when you really think about it, have they actually played anyone? The best team they did play, they got blown out. The Minnesota Vikings took them to the woodshed, blew them out. The 2 teams they beat were the Colts and the Bears. Anthony Richards, a turnover machine. The Bears can't block anybody if their life depended on it. So they really haven't beaten anybody. So I think people forget that because they like all the hype that is with the Texans because what they did last year. But, don't forget, they really didn't beat that many people, so far in this season. So, but that's not saying much. The Jaguars are a terrible team. The Texans are averaging 18.5s a game. You want to see more from that when you have so many people on the offense, so many weapons. Nico Collins, Tank Dell, which Tank Dell's out, by the way, and Mixon's I believe out for this game as well. So you have Mixon and Dell, 2 guys who are really great, but you still have Diggs and you still have Nico Collins. So pitting 18.5s a game is not a good look. They're throwing 232 yards a game, which is 8th ranked. They're allowing almost 25 points a game, and 260 total yards, and they have a total of 13 sacks and 3 interceptions so far. So, with all that being said, the Jaguars are just awful. I know this seems like a desperate win. They need a win. Plus, that division's awful that they're in. But I can't see the Jags doing anything, moving the ball whatsoever. I think the Texans, good bounce back game from them. It's in Houston. I think they want to embarrass the Jaguars like the Minnesota Vikings embarrassed them, the Texans. So I am going to take the Texans to cover 6.5 points. I think they get a good touchdown to seal it away, and they come away with winning by a touchdown. In this next matchup, we have 2 teams that have some great firepower and some young quarterbacks, and it's just fun to watch, and it's going to be entertaining. That is the Washington Commanders versus Arizona Cardinals, with the Cardinals being a favorite by 3.5 points and the over-under at 50. Washington, big surprise win against the Bengals. Jaden Daniels with only 2 incompletions. He looked great out there. He looks like he's the real deal, very accurate. I think he's the favorite for the Rookie of the Year now, so good for him. And you got Arizona. You got Kyle Murray flying around there, being Superman out there, showing people he can still do it and show everybody he's still a fantasy king. So I think it's going to be a fun game. And why don't we start off right here with the injuries for both teams. Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr. is questionable, so keep an eye on that. And Trey McBride, their good young tight end, he's out for the game, so that could be a little damage to the Cardinals there. And Commanders, Farrell, their end is questionable, and Eckler is out, and so is Crowder out. So there's some 2 weapons. Crowder not getting that much work, but Austin Eckler was getting some good work, and he got a big touchdown last week. So Between these two teams, Washington leads the series, 77 wins to 42 losses and 2 draw. It's a long history between these two teams playing each other. But recently, Arizona's won 3 of the 4 games. Also, the Cardinals have the number 1 fourth ranked offense, which is great. Kyle Murray, O'Connor, McBride, and Benson. They need to use him more. Great team they got going. And the Commanders have covered the spread 4 of their away games against teams with losing records. So they come into Arizona, and Arizona has a losing record. And so far, Washington does great against those teams, 4-5 against the spread. So, the Cardinals, being the higher power offense they are, it's just not hit Kyle Murray pass the ball. I mean, they're 9th in rushing and they're 5th in scoring. Murray has 5 touchdowns to only 1 pick and 161 rushing yards. So he's doing everything. So that's good. I mean, great for fantasy owners. But also he's keeping the Arizona Cardinals alive. A lot of work he has to do, but he's keeping them alive. And, another great stat from the Commanders here that I look on my notes here, I wrote down, is the Commanders have been underdogs by 3.5 points or more 2 times this season, and they've covered both the spread by being that close, 2.5. And they're 16th in passing yards, 5th in rushing, and 6th in scoring. The Commanders. And Daniels is 664 yards passing, 2 TDs, no picks, with 171 yards rushing. So this is going to be a high powerful offense. This is going to be a great game to watch. People just flying around left and right. It's going to be a fun and entertaining game, and I can't wait to watch it. But in my prediction, if I have to pick this, the over and under is 50. That's hard to bite. But I think they can get the over on that. I think this is a 30-28 game or 30-24. So with that, sorry about that. With that, all that being said, I don't think Daniels and them could put up that number again. Their secondary is awful. So I think if Marvin Harrison Jr. does play this game, even without McBride at tight end, I still like the Cardinals to cover this at 3.5. And if you get it at 3, take that as well. But I like the Arizona to cover this game. All right, and this next matchup, I don't understand this number. I don't understand it whatsoever. Feels like a trap, but let's go over it. It's Pittsburgh versus the Indianapolis Colts. Pittsburgh being the favorite by 2 points. So I don't understand. Oh yeah, and the over/under being 40 points. Steelers owns a 4-1 record against Indiana. Steelers have won 2 of their 3 games this season with playing at least as 2-point favorites. So that looks good for them. And their defense looks dominant, and the Indianapolis Colts, they just look, I don't know, they have okay defense. Secondary is not the best, but they've been turning the ball over left and right. They got Jonathan Taylor, so that's really the biggest weapon. They got a solid, nice receiving core, but Anthony Richardson he's not having his best year whatsoever. So I don't understand this line. I would figure maybe it was 4 or 5 points, maybe, I thought would have been in the favor of Pittsburgh. So let's get over some stats here. Pittsburgh ranked 29th in passing yards, not surprised. Justin Fields is the quarterback. 12th in ranked rushing yards, which is a little surprising because I think their rushing attack is awful. The running back room, I don't like any of the Harris or Warren. Warren's out for the game, by the way. They're 5th in yards against their defense, passing yards against their defense, so that is really great. Everybody knows their defense is stellar. And they're 2nd in rushing yards against their defense, so nothing to surprise there. And they're number 1 in points allowed. I think it's like they're only allowing 8 points a game. And I don't see the Colts putting that much in this game either. I don't know how they are. Fields has 518 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. And like I said, I'm not bothering with the running backs. I think the running backs are terrible. And Harris is just a average running back, could be a second string in a lot of other teams. And then the Colts, a little thing about them is they cover the spread 2-for-1 games. Their defense is beat up, though. They have a lot of defensive guys who are injured, so keep that in mind. They're 24th in passing yards, and they're 11th in rushing yards for their offense. They have the worst rushing defense, so that bodes well for a Pittsburgh team that not so great at running, but they could, definitely use Justin Fields' legs to, create something there. Jonathan Taylor, 3 rushing TDs, 261 yards rushing. He's a beast. They need if they're going to win this game against Pittsburgh, they got to ride him hard, man. Maybe get 25, 30 carries and get Sermon a few, maybe 5 to 10 carries himself. And Anthony Richardson, like I said, not a good year. 583 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, but 6 interceptions, and only completing 49% of his passing attempts. Not good, especially a guy a lot of people had high hopes for. So, I don't understand this line. I don't know how it's Pittsburgh minus 2 points. Seems like a trap. It's in Indiana, so I understand that. But I just don't. I don't know how this team gives. I don't know how the Colts give the Pittsburgh any fits. Anthony Richardson cannot get the ball to his wide receivers. He just can't. So he's probably going to turn the ball over. This is going to be a game of obviously who turnovers the ball more, they're going to lose. And Anthony Richardson probably should turn the ball over more. Now, Indianapolis Colts have a good offensive line, so that's something to remember. But I don't know. I just can't choose the Colts. Anthony Richardson is too unpredictable. So the 2 plays I like for this game is I like Najee Harris to get his first rushing touchdown. So maybe pick him for anytime touchdown. So I like him to get his first rushing touchdown. And I also like Pittsburgh covering the points. And I like the under in this game too. I believe this is whoever gets the 21st wins in this game. So if it goes 20-14, 20-16, even that's favorable for the Colts. So whoever gets the 20 points wins this game, and give me the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, with this matchup, one would think it's an easy game, which, it's most likely going to be an easy game, but we have the Patriots versus the 49ers, with the San Francisco 49ers being favored by 10.5 and the over-under at 40.5. Now, one would say that this is probably an easy win for San Francisco, and it probably is. I won't spend too much time to this game. But the 49ers had a crushing loss against the Rams, an injured, plagued Los Angeles Rams. I mean, so many people lost money in that game. Man, I bet millions were lost on that game. It was unbelievable how the 49ers lose to a team. I mean, Matthew Stafford was throwing to high school football players. All they had was Kyren Williams. He had practice squad guys and rookie draft picks guarding him on the offensive line. So, and I don't know how Mason didn't get over 100 yards. The Rams rushing defense, especially their D-line, is not so great. They're pretty small up front. So I still can't, it mind boggles me that game. How did the 49ers lose to it? It's going to be one of the biggest upsets of the year, if not the whole year. So it's very puzzling to me. So yeah, the Patriots versus the 49ers. And actually, this is the battle of the last place teams. The battle of the last place teams. Who would have thought of saying that about the 49ers? San Francisco has only had 1 win against the spread, and they're 1-2 as money line favorites. Not good. 49ers are, they're first in passing, so that's good. Brock Purdy, who I criticized him. I don't think he was that great, but he's proving a lot of people wrong this year. He's proving me. A lot of people might be convinced about him already, but I wasn't. So Brock Purdy, number 1. They need Ayuk to step up. It can't just be Jennings, even because, Deebo Samuel's out and CMC's out. So it just can't be Jennings. They need something. I believe Kittle's gonna be playing. So that's an extra weapon for them. They're 20th in passing yards against, so teams are passing on them. Their secondary is not as good as it once was. They have the great linebackers and their defensive line, but their secondary is a little suspect. You can pass on them given enough time. And they're 21st in points allowed. They're letting teams score 23 points on them. So, and let's talk about the Patriots. I don't know how they they got the 1 win, but they do. So the Patriots dead last in passing. I mean, are you surprised? All they got is Hunter Henry to throw to. Polk, Douglas, these guys are average at best. would call him below average, or is it the quarterback play? Brissett is god awful. He's been a backup in the league, spot starter a couple of times in his career, but I would say he's just a good backup, come in there and be serviceable. They're eighth in rushing, which is understandable. They got Gibson and Stevenson. Those guys are, they're really solid, but they were shut down complete. Stevenson I think, had 23 yards total against the Jets. Jets have a good defense, but, you expect more of those guys. So, the one thing that I guess the Patriots could hang their hat on is they are good at stopping the run. They're ranked fifth in the NFL. And, that's about it. I mean, Brissett only has one passing touchdown, going to the fourth game. So keep it short. It's a big number, 10.5. But I don't know how you beat the Patriots. I don't know how you can, take the Patriots. They just no offense. Just stop the run, and that's it. That's all you got to do. Pit 8 in the box, and then it's over. So I am taking the Patriots to lose the 49ers. 49ers to cover the number. I'm really thinking it's going to be a 28-10 game, literally. So I think that it's going to go under as well. I could see this being a big bounce back game for the 49ers. They desperately need this because if Seattle beats Detroit, Seattle goes to 4-0, and then if the San Francisco lose, which I don't think they will, but if they lose, they go to 1-3, and they're going to be 3 games behind Seattle. So 49ers need this win. This is what teams need who are struggling. They need a big bounce back win, and they got the right opponent, the desperate Patriots, who have a decent defense, but they can't score a lick. So give me 49ers to cover the number. Like I said, it's going to be a 28-10 game, and I like the under in this game. So San Francisco, you got to get your act together, or bye-bye. No playoffs for you. So San Francisco gets the bounce back. All right, with these two teams, they met in the playoffs. My Philadelphia Eagles versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, with the Eagles being a 1.5-point favorite and the over-under being 42.5. All odds I'm getting from DraftKings. This is the battle of the injured teams. Tampa Bay has, I believe, 17 guys who are on the injury report this week, which is really unheard of. That is, bad news. I believe the whole defensive line was on the injury report as well. So not good for the Buccaneers. But the Eagles, they have a lot of their offensive players, their best players, all injured too. A.J. Brown and Smith are probably not playing the game. Devontae Smith got cheap-shotted by the Saints. Saints were just playing dirty the whole game. I believe those guys got fined. So there's proof in the pudding, if you will. And the right side of their offensive line might start. Lane Johnson may be out the game, which is not good for the Eagles. They have a losing record when he's out. And their right guard might be out. Becton might be out for the game too. I believe they're both questionable. So that's something to watch out for if you're going to bet this game. So keep an eye on it. But let's get into numbers. Don't forget that the Eagles are still a very good offensive team. They got some depth, but, losing Brown and Smith for this game, it might not bode well. But let's get into the numbers anyways. Their offense is ranked the second best offense in the league. They are third in the best rushing offense and fifth in passing. So there you go. And the rushing, I still think will be there. You got Barkley, who is a beast, who I believe now is the best running back in football since CMC is out. The guy's just killing it. If they want to be successful and win this game, they got to give him the ball every way possible, not just in the run game. They got to get him in wheel routes. They need to get him in halfback screens. Do everything you can to get this man the ball because he is a killer. I also believe that Hurts needs to be running in this game as well to win. He needs to get vintage Hurts where he puts up 100 rushing yards because they're going to need this to beat the Buccaneers because their wide receivers are just all beat up. Their defense, something left to be desired. It's overall 22nd. They're 24th in the rush and 18th in passing. Not terrible for passing, that is. Carter needs to do what he did to the Saints. I mean, the Saints come out and said, or I saw people say that it was with the way what he did to the Saints was unbelievable. I saw some tweets about that. He did that when the Saints had hiked, the right guard and center had no chance against him. He was just throwing them like rag dolls. He was in the backfield all day. And another thing to keep an eye on is that the Eagles' big problem was that they couldn't stop the rush, or they couldn't get to the quarterback. Now, they only sacked David Carr one time, but they made the adjustment and made their big acquisition from last year, Bryce Huff. They cut his production, and he was only now getting in 20-some%, between 20 and 30%. He's now only getting into the game because he can't stop the rush. He can't. He gets too far ahead, and they just run on his side, and that's it. So they replaced him with more playing of Brandon Graham. Smart, very smart. Even though Brandon Graham's old, a very smart move because they were just getting gashed in the run game. And they stopped Alvin Kamara and the Saints from putting up big rushing yards and exposing David Carr for the fraud he is. So good adjustment by the Eagles. You know, they have to, since this Hurts needs to, because his weapons are gone, he needs to not turn the ball over. He needs to not play hero ball and try to throw a dime to like double coverage. He's not that guy. Hurts is only best when they have a good rushing attack. So Hurts needs to cut down in interceptions and let the the person who leads the league in rushing, take over in Barkley. Just rely on him and Gainwell. Hell, get Shipley, the guy the Eagles drafted from Clemson. Get him out there. He's a good catching back. But this team needs to rush. And then when you need like 4 or 5 yards, 6 yards, throw those guys, throw it to Paris Campbell, throw it to Dotson, the veterans, and have them get a few yards. And Dallas Goedert, have them get the yards for you that you need for, a first down or so. But besides that, but under Nick Sirianni, the Eagles are 25-12 straight up, and they're 18-16-3 against the spread when coming off a win. So, just hopefully he listens to his coordinators, let the coordinators do the job, and he just calm down, Nick. Just calm down. Take it easy. You don't need to rush the field and scream at other players. Take it easy. But let's get with the Tampa. Tampa, like I said, they got a lot of hurt guys, a lot of hurt players. 17 guys were on the injury report. So Tampa covered the 2 games against the spread out of the 3 games they played. They did get trounced by the Broncos, which was one of the most embarrassing losses this year. It might be one of the most embarrassing losses of all when the season's done, because they were a 7-point favorite and Broncos have no offense whatsoever. Getting to the numbers of the Buccaneers, they're 29th overall. They're 27th in rush, 23rd in pass, and their scoring is 15. So very surprised that they're only 23rd in pass because, they have a lot of weapons in Mike Evans and Godwin. Not so surprised, though, because for some reason they're not giving Mike Evans the ball. Mike Evans only has 120 yards passing. I mean, he's Mike Evans, 10 years straight with 1,000 yards. Like, what are you doing? I don't understand this. Maybe he's having a step off, or maybe, the game plan is not going well. Their rushing's terrible. I mean, they need to get off Rachaad White. One of the big keys, I think Tampa could win this if they give and feed the ball to Bruce Irving. But that's not really the Buccaneers style. They live and die by the big play. And I think Fangio, the defense of the Eagles, they actually play for the big play. So the Buccaneers will need to make an adjustment. But they need to give Bruce Irving the ball more. He's more explosive back, and have Rachaad White on passing downs because he's really good at that. Tampa Bay's Buccaneers is 27th overall. Their defense, 25th in rush, stopping the rush, and 24th in stopping the pass. And their defense scoring is 15th ranked. Their defense is really beat up. I mean, really beat up. Like I said, Vita Vea, the guy they depend out there to be like their anchor, the guy who holds the glue to the team. He's questionable for the game, so watch out. The right tackle, I believe, is questionable. Their left tackle, Whiffs, is, I believe, beat up, but I think he's gonna play. And they're 2-4 as home dogs under Todd Bowles, so that's not good. 2-4, and this is really telling. Mayfield is the 3rd most sacked QB in the league. Now, That's probably because some of it has to do with him holding the ball, looking for that big play a lot. But Mayfield's gonna have to get out and use his legs a bit if he wants to survive. Because I think Carter's gonna have a big game. So with all that being said, they're predicting bad weather for a lot of the Florida games. So keep an eye on that if you're betting any of these games. I believe if it's a sloppy game because of the weather, rain, I think that falls in the Eagles' hands. The Eagles just have a better rushing attack, and even with the two injuries at the line, right guard and right tackle, I still think we have a better offensive line. The left tackle, Pro Bowler. The left guard, all pro. The center, Kelsey's heir apparent, he's doing good. So the whole left side's going good. The right side, we'll see. Fred Johnson's at right tackle, and they'll use maybe Nick Gates at right guard and not Tyler Sharp. These are backup guys, but I still think they have the better line. And I think if it's a sloppy game, give me Barkley over Bruce Irving and Rachaad White any day of the week. Okay, and give me Hurts. Hurts is the better rushing quarterback. And so if it's a sloppy game, even if it isn't a sloppy game, I like the Eagles to cover the 1.5. And I like, if I had to bet the over-under, I like it under 42.5. If you get it at 43, that it was at one point, then I will take the 43. But if you could get it at 42.5, I think that's all right. I think it's going to be a sloppy game. But give me the Eagles covering the 1.5 in this possibly injured game, sloppy, rainy game, but give me Barkley and Hurts to just run all over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Well, I bet this is a game everybody was just waiting to watch. They couldn't wait for this matchup to happen. This is the most anticipated game there is. It is the Browns versus the Raiders. Yeah. Nobody's want to watch this game outside their fan bases. Cleveland Browns lost to the Giants. Raiders lost to the Panthers. But the Browns are favored by 2 points to the over-under 36.5 as of Friday. The Browns, they haven't covered the spread this season when playing as at least 2-point favorites. The Browns have been the money line favorites twice, and they lost both times. These teams are just terrible. At least the Browns have a good defense. Their offense, Watson is just doing a heist job on the Browns organization. I mean, once they get to the point where you just eat your pride as Browns organization and just start a better quarterback or draft one next year. This is just terrible for the team, wasting that defense, wasting Myles Garrett's best years, and the Oakland has nothing to brag about either. I mean, another organization that's just a toilet organization. They just make bad decisions. Gardner Minshew and O'Donnell are your quarterbacks. I'm like, what? And you have Devontae Smith and Jacoby Myers and Myers, the tight end, as weapons. It's like, you're racing Devontae. You get David Carr leaves town, and you think these are the right guys to get Adams the ball and not draft anybody? It's like, come on. Anyways, more into the numbers. The Browns, they're 30th in passing. They can't pass the ball whatsoever. I mean, it's Cooper and that's it, and Watson is terrible. The offensive line's beat up too from the Browns. They're 23rd in rushing. They have nothing. They have no rushing. Ford doesn't scare nobody. They're just waiting for Chubb to join. And they're 26th in scoring. And their defense 14th. Their defense, like I said, it's good. It's not bad. 14th in pass and 13th in rush and 20th in scores allowed. So, okay, they can hang their hat on defense. But like the Pittsburgh Steelers, eventually your defense can't do everything for you. This is not the 80s and the 90s where your defense win championships, okay? No more. You need a powered offense. So this defense is only get them so far. Maybe they could cause some turnovers, but if they do cause turnovers, your team needs to score, which they have a hard time scoring the Browns because Watson's the goddamn quarterback. So, like I said, Watson is robbing the Browns. He's only completing 57% of his passes. Cooper, you're just wasting Amari Cooper out there. So, and they can't run the ball. So, two of their offensive tackles are out for the game, so that sucks for the Browns. What are you going to do with that? And their tight end, who was another good weapon for them, he's still out for the game. And their offensive guard, Teller, is out for the game. So just depleted up front, So that's going to be a work in the Raiders team, but let's see if it will. The Raiders are without Crosby, and Crosby is the soul of that Raiders defense. So they need Las Vegas needs Crosby to be there, and when he's not there, all the stats show that they go downhill. They lose games. So little of the numbers with the Raiders. They have covered the spread once this year when underdogs by 2 or more. They're fourth in passing yards, which I was very surprised to hear because their quarterbacks are not good. They're dead last in rushing. I mean, go get a guy in the practice squad or a guy off the street or make a trade. Your rushing sucks. White is not it, okay? You want to do something, Raiders, or you're just here to get fans in the stands and, just make money? Or do you actually want to put a winning team out there? Get a rushing attack. It's unbelievable. And they have terrible, terrible rushing defense, which really doesn't matter because the Browns' rushing attack is awful. So both these teams can't rush the ball at all. So and they're allowing 27 points a game, the Raiders. Their other opposing teams are just going up and down the field on them. And they said, and here's the big hit. Davante Adams is out for the game. This is why I like to do these videos when it gets closer to Sunday. I'm not like the other people or the professionals or the ESPN or NBC. They do it on Thursdays. They try to get before the Thursday night game. Well, all these people get injured, and then, the numbers change when you're betting. So I like to do these maybe Friday or Saturday and try to get as close as we can to the game so we can see the injury report and the last numbers in the betting lines. So Davante Adams is out. Crosby is out. Their tight end Mayer is out. Epps is out. Their safety and their corner Richardson for the Raiders. So not good. Not good. So with that all being said, quarterbacks suck. Rushing teams suck. The Raiders probably have a better offense, receivers, even with Jacoby Myers, only one playing right now. But I'm just going with the better defense. I'm going to go with the better defense. I know it's in Las Vegas. I know the Browns just lost to the Giants, which is god-awful terrible. But without Adams and Mayer, the tight end, I see them just being one, and no running game, the worst rushing attack there is. I don't know how the Raiders are going to go up the field on this defense. I just don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it. Maybe Gardner Mitchell becomes a running back. So give me the Browns to cover the 2 points. I think they could do it. I think they could win by a field goal. Hell, I actually think this game, I think the Browns could win by a touchdown. That's how depleted the Raiders are. And having Max Crosby not get after the Browns' depleted offensive line is a problem. So I'm going to take the Browns to cover. I would even take them at 3.5 to cover this game. And give me their running back Ford and a player prop to get it as an anytime TD. Since Crosby's going to be out and they already have the worst rush defense in the league, I can see Ford getting a rushing touchdown on the goal line or something. So give me the Browns to cover and Ford for the anytime TD. All right, guys, our next matchup here, it's going to be awesome Sunday night game, the Buffalo Bills versus the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens being favored by 2.5 and the over-under being 46.5. And I was surprised to see the Ravens be the favorite here. I know they ran all over the Dallas Cowboys, but the Cowboys have no rush defense. The Giants almost beat them. So what's that say? Is the Ravens really good or the Dallas Cowboys really bad? Buffalo Bills coming from just beating the mess out of the Jaguars. So, just embarrassed them. So I was surprised to see that the Ravens were the favorite. The 1-2 punch of Lamar, Jackson, and Henry is really great. And I think it can do some damage against the Buffalo Bills. They do miss McDonald, the old defensive coordinator for the Ravens, now the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. So, their pass defense is not good either. It's ranked 28th. And so, there's the Ravens. Their defense is just not as scary as it was. That what I'm saying. They used to be you go to play the Baltimore, that defense is just going to shut you down. But teams are pitting points against them. Buffalo Bills, they're the number one ranked offense. Jared Allen, he's just game busters out there. 7 touchdowns, no picks, 2 rushing touchdowns. Cook is having a great year. Kincaid and Knox is a good tight end combination, and they're getting a lot from Samuel. Samuel's the wide receiver, that is. Shazier, I think, the other wide receiver, and Coleman, the rookie. So they're spreading the ball around, and Jared Allen's being Superman out there. But so is Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Likely. I don't know why they're not using Likely more. He had that one good first game, and they're just not using him. So this is a good offensives. Now I'm seeing that there might be very powerful wins during the game, and if that's the case, then they're saying very bad wins during this game. So if it turns into a running day for both teams, I like the Rams then. But to give the points to Bills, 2.5 points, it's just so hard not to take those points. So I think it's a coin flip game, especially if the weather is terrible. And I think that the Ravens, that just folds in their hand. They are the better rushing team. And it's not like the Bills can't get off the quarterback. Von Miller's having a great year. He has 3 sacks so far in 3 games. So he's having a little resurgence, even though he's a bit older, 34, I believe he is, 34, 36. And the Ravens have Hamilton back there. So, it's going to be it's the best game of the week. So with that, try and make this video as short as possible. I'm gonna take the Ravens to cover the line and pitting them away with a game-winning, touchdown at the end on the running game. Because if the wins are as powerful as they're saying, I'm gonna trust Lamar Jackson. I'm gonna trust Henry over Cook and Allen, and that's hard to say because Allen could run the ball too, and so can Cook. But Henry and Jackson are the better runners. So I think the Ravens, with their backs to the wall, needing to win, so Pittsburgh Steelers do not get 3 games above them, and Buffalo Bills losing their first game in a very tight loss. And I won't be surprised, like I said, if Bills do win. But if I had to choose, give me Baltimore covering the 2.5 in a very exciting game. All right, with this game, oh God, I don't even know how this is. Nobody's going to watch this game. Tennessee versus Miami. Come on. Miami being a 1-point favorite and the over-under at 36.5. I only could guess nobody's going to watch this game other than their fan bases. It's going to be a sloppy game because of the hurricane coming to Florida. You have Tennessee Levis just cannot stop turning the ball. I think he has 5 picks and 3 fumbles. Just terrible numbers. The guy just keeps on shooting himself in his own foot. He can't get the ball to his own receivers. I don't know why they're not just turning to a running team just turn into a running team so you can stop having Levis do these boneheaded moves, And you got Miami, is it Skylar Thompson? Is it Doug Boyle or whatever his name is? Or now is it Huntley, Carousel? It's just who's going to be the quarterback for the Miami Dolphins this week. Stupid organizing. Stupid by the Miami Dolphins for not having a good backup behind Tua. Tua is prone to concussions, and they don't have any good backups. Stupid move by them with all those weapons that they have. So, like I said, Skylar Thompson, Mozart, their starting corner, Fuller, their starting tackle, Armstead are all questionable for the game. And for Tennessee, Simmons is questionable, but their starting corner, Anise, is out for the game. So there's that. I guess a little hope for the Tennessee Titans is that they have won 3 out of the last 5 games against Miami. They've won 4 of their last 5 away games against teams with losing records, so that, at least that's something. And their defense is ranked fifth. And not so good that Miami has one of the worst pass blocking offensive lines in the league, and that's even worse for them because they don't have no quarterback that could throw the ball. So what I think Miami, it's going to be a sloppy game. And both these teams are going to be running and pounding the ball, which I think it kind of favors the Miami Dolphins if you use Huntley as as wide receiver. Rushing as the quarterback, I'm sorry. And then you have A-Chain and maybe Wright mixing in, and maybe Moser if he's healthy, if this is just a rain game. So that helps. But I'm not buying it. A Huntley who's just probably not used to having getting to know the playbook. And if they put Skylar Thompson, and I'm definitely taking Tennessee plus the 1 point. But this game's a flip. This game's 50-50 for me. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to bet it. But if I had to, give me the better defense that's Tennessee. And hopefully, they just put some wrapping paper around Levis and don't have him do too much. Have the running game take over. He's a big guy. Have him do some RPOs too, like rush the ball or something. But give me Tennessee plus the 1 in this boring snooze fest, sloppy game that's going to happen because of this weather. So yeah, give me the Tennessee plus 1, but I am staying away from this. And in this game, we have a real good game. Finally, one of these teams are getting tested, and the other one had a good bounce-back win last week. We have the Seattle Seahawks versus the Detroit Lions, with the Lions being favored by 3.5 and the over-under being 46. Seahawks haven't played anyone. They have a lot of great numbers. I think their defense is ranked number 1 in PFF. They have great weapons in Metcalf and Lockett and Smith at slot, and they have Walker and Charbonnet at running back. Walker's questionable, so keep an eye on that. But they have played absolutely no one. They played the Broncos, they played the Patriots, they play all these crappy quarterbacks. So, and they play I'm not convinced on them yet, but they have the pieces. They have great. The new head coach, the old defensive coordinator for the Ravens, which the Ravens miss, he has them in good positions, and their defense looks really great. Like a lot of ball hawking. They got a ball hawking secondary, but you got to make a decision. Is it because they haven't played nobody, in which they haven't? All 3 quarterbacks are terrible they played against, or is this defense the real deal? So, getting to the numbers here. Geno's last 2 games against Detroit, he has thrown 648 yards and 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. So recently he has the Detroit Lions number. Seattle, they put up 47 points in 2022 against Detroit, then they put 37 points last year against them. So they're pitting it to them. Geno overall so far this year, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks with 787 yards passing. And I believe the Seahawks might be getting their best defensive end, their best pass rusher back this game. So keep an eye on that. Like I said, Walker's questionable, so keep an eye on that. Lions, let's get the numbers to them. They also got playmakers. They got St. Brown. They got Williams. Laporta is questionable this game, but they have Gibbs and they have Montgomery, and they have one of the best offensive lines in the league. So, also, like I said, let's get the numbers to the Lions. They're 6-2 against the spread in their last 8 games as betting favorites. Really nice. Lions have covered in both of their matchups, also against the NFC West. So, those are good betting trends you want to see. Definitely want to see. And Goff is 723 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and 4 picks. He's not having a good year. This is why Goff doesn't need to. This needs to not be a passing team. The Detroit to be successful is not Goff leading the way. It's Gibbs and Montgomery. Pound the rock, pound the rock, pound the rock, and then let Goff use it off the play action, the middle to St. Brown or Laporta when he's healthy. This is how you win for the Lions to be successful. rely on the running game and have Goff then pick it up where he can and pick up some good chunk yards when they don't see it coming. So both these teams have a lot of weapons, with Seattle statistically having the better defense. But seeing that this game is two teams that are really great, and I think they're both gonna be able to score on each other. I don't care how good the Seahawks defense is. I like Seattle plus the points, but I like Detroit to win outright. Like I said, it's 3.5. I believe it is 3.5 still right now as I'm recording this on Friday night. So, so for that, I just have to take Detroit plus the Seattle Seahawks. Give me the points with Geno, who has a record of tearing up the Detroit Lions. So I have Detroit winning outright, but I have Seattle covering the 3.5, and the over/under I'm not going to touch. So it's gonna be a great game, and it's gonna really show how really good Seattle is, if they're actually the real deal. So give me Detroit to win, but to Seattle to cover the line. Middle of the night, 1 in the morning. Life has gotten in the way a little bit. I'm moving to a new place, so I had to make a shorter video. So if it's a bit sloppy, forgive me on that. I'm getting no sleep and just moving a lot of stuff. But I'm excited. I'm going to watch all the games. I'm going to rewatch some of them. I'm going to break down them for the recap after week 4 is over. So thank you for joining me, guys. I hope it's going to be a profitable day for us. Hopefully you're having a profitable week as it is already, but let's make Sunday a profitable day. And I hope to see you guys on the next one. And thank you for joining this small little channel. I love doing it. So see you guys in the next one.